Welcome to another episode of The Financially Free Investor, where you will learn information and strategies on how to become financially independent by investing in real estate, something that is not taught openly in our society today. Financial freedom matters so you can live a bigger life, retire early, and do what matters most to you. Get ready to hear tried and true methods to becoming financially free with your host, Jordy Clark.
All right, everyone, welcome into another episode of The Financially Free Investor. I am super excited for today's episode. I wanted to start out and I'm going to speak to the real estate agents specifically because I know that there's a handful of real estate agents that listen to the podcast. And I wanted to read a little excerpt of a book. Okay, so bear with me if you're not a real estate agent. I also think this pertains to everyone who's not a real estate agent. And then we're going to kind of jump into the thesis of this podcast, which is financial freedom. So with that being said, the worst thing that happens to you can be the best thing for you if you don't let it get the best of you. Author unknown. The real estate market has shifted drastically and dramatically. Sales volume and the number of transactions have dropped significantly. Inventory has reached an all-time high. Buyers have never been more reluctant. Fear is rampant, anxiety is high, and people are getting out of the business left and right. Sound familiar? Sure it was. The year was 1979, and that's what was happening all around me. I was 22 years old, new to the industry and new to Austin. I basically knew nothing and no one, and I still sold 6 houses my first month in the business, 5 of which closed. Then the market collapsed. Interest rates soared to over 18%. The marketplace fell into chaos, and I didn't close a sale for 5 straight months. By Christmas, I was 6 months into my real estate career and broke. My dad offered to help. Based on my growing database and the business I had in the pipeline, he loaned me $500 to keep going. The very next day, my dad's faith in me was validated, and I wrote a contract on a home. Ultimately, my hard work paid off, and I ended my first 12 months hitting all my financial goals. 8 years later, fast forward to 1987, and it happened again. The government changed tax laws, which had a disastrous effect. The market shifted. Seemingly overnight, the listing inventory went through the roof, sales transactions fell to the floor, and our local board went from over 5,000 members to below 2,000. Panic and confusion reigned. It felt like everyone was running helter-skelter, looking to shelter but finding no place to hide. There was no escaping the shift. So that is from a book from Gary Keller called Shift. And I thought it was important and timely that I read this to everyone. If you haven't read this book, please go pick it up. Whether you're an investor, want to be an investor, you're a real estate agent, go read this because there are principles in here that correlate into whatever industry you're in. It's a phenomenal book. So, with that being said, why is Jordy reading this from Gary Keller? Well, I'm reading it because this week, so I'm recording this Thursday, it's a little late in the week for me to record this. I'm usually more ahead, but I have had probably 15 different conversations with flippers and realtors, people who are investing in real estate, who are active in real estate. And it has been an interesting week to hear their stories of what's going on in their life and the pain they're feeling and, how this deal didn't work out and how, they're looking at refinancing this rental or this flip into a rental because it's just not working out as a flip anymore, or, they don't want to take a haircut or whatever it is. The real estate market is shifting, and we are going to continue to see it shift. And the interesting thing is I talked to most of these people, it blindsided them. And it kind of astounded me because, I've always thought, hey, as soon as interest rates start going up, it's going to slow us down. And everyone was like, oh no, that'll never happen. Prices will never come down. The last 24 months in a real estate market that we've had, it's been craziness. People bidding $50,000 over list price, waiving all contingencies, having to go all cash. That's not normal. Seeing a home hit the market and needing to be there 2 hours later to even have a shot at getting it as a buyer is not realistic. And yet that's been the last 2 years. And it's become normalized for so many people that they're now thrown into a different market, and they're like, holy cow. Well, guys, here's the reality. Markets are always changing and constantly evolving. And that does not mean that we have to always be changing and constantly evolving. In fact, it's the contrary. We have to do the basics, get back to the basics. So that was kind of my little 5-minute rant for real estate agents. My heart's there with you. I'm going through it with our team as well. And, it's not all sunshine and rainbows all the time. Hey everyone, just a quick minute. This episode is brought to you by our show sponsor, EVA Solutions. EVA Solutions is a virtual staffing company that provides a hassle-free experience when it comes to finding the right virtual assistant. From sourcing, interviewing, qualifying, onboarding, to monitoring your VA, they have it all covered. They understand that your business is unique, and so are your virtual assistant needs. That's why they offer high-quality virtual assistants that are customized to fit your specific requirements and needs. They have a team of experienced and professional virtual assistants who are experts in a variety of skills in different industries, including customer service, administrative support, data entry, property management, social media management, and the list goes on. If you sign up using the link, you'll get a $200 off for full-time VA service for the first 6 months. So go to show notes, click on the link, and EVA Solutions has your back. If you're looking for a VA, if you're looking for an assistant, they will knock it out of the park for you because they do it for me and my businesses. Here's where I'm going with this. Later on in that book, as I'm just kind of continually studying it, he goes through 7 different tactics that real estate agents specifically can use as they go through shifting markets like this. And tactic number 2 is what I think applies to not only just everyone personally, but everyone in business. Well, tactic number 1 is get real, get right, get your mindset and action right. But tactic number 2 is what I really wanted to talk about today. Remargining your business, and I'm going to extend this into your personal life. Managing your expenses, budgeting. It is the unsexy thing. But he goes through this chapter and, I'm reading it and I'm thinking, okay, what can we do to modify? What can we do to get the same results spending less? What can we do to get better results with spending less, or whatever it may be? And, I was talking with Courtney, my wife, and we're kind of going over our budget for October. This was a couple of days ago, so it was like October 3rd. And, ideally, we like to have our budget done by the first of the month, but some months it just doesn't happen. And it's been a couple of months just because we had our baby get born, and just surgeries and crazy stuff has happened. We've had life happen to us like everyone else. Yet we haven't necessarily, for the last few months, like, we've kind of gotten lazy. We moved, there was a bunch of new stuff we had to buy. And so we were just like, okay, we're going to kind of get back. We're going to look at our budget, examine what we spent. And this is my extension to you guys, is take a look at your expenses, see what you can cut. And I know that you all need to have DoorDash. Okay. I know that you all need to have, every subscription out there for TV, but realistically, so I sat down for probably 20 or 30 minutes with Courtney. We were looking at kind of everything we've got going on, and we're like, okay, what can we cut out? And we realized, like, we were both paying for a DoorDash DAS pass. We canceled both of them because we're like, okay, we're just not going to eat out or have DoorDash come, because we were spending a fair amount of money on eating out. And so we're like, okay, we're going to cut that out because we can eat healthier and still save money. We're like, okay, we're gonna cut this out. And just the dash pass alone, it saved us $20. We went through a couple other things, realized, hey, we're being charged 2 or 3 times for a Disney Plus. Well, we don't need all 3 of them. Cancel it, go down to 1. What else can we cut? And so we started looking, and pretty quick, we were able to cut out $200 a month in subscriptions and fees and just little things. And that's not even going into, how much we were spending in eating out and whatnot. So at the end of the day, guys, the economy's getting tight. This is what the Federal Reserve wanted. They wanted to slow down the economy. They wanted to slow down asset prices going through the roof because, soon enough, a car is going to be $100,000 for a base model car. And that's just not realistic, right? So they're trying to taper inflation down to 2%. They've said it 100 times if you watch their speeches. So the last thing I wanted to leave you with, and this is going to be a super short podcast because frankly, I like doing some of these 10-minute podcasts knowing that, you may just be driving to drop someone off or go pick someone up from gymnastics or football or whatever it may be. So I want to be sensitive to your drive time. With that being said, the number one determinant of surviving shifting markets is expense management. Guys, it's here. Figure it out. If you're flipping stuff, figure out other exit strategies that make sense. It is time to buckle down, get serious about your finances, get serious about your budgeting, see where you can cut, get scrappy, and figure out how to play the game at the next level as you grow through this experience that we have. And here's why it's important. There's going to be so many deals, and I am jacked up about this. I'm super excited. There's going to be so many deals in the next 18 months where you can buy properties seller financed with not a ton of money. You get low interest rates. Things will cash flow. I looked at a duplex while I've been looking at it for the last week or so, and you can buy it on seller financing. It needs a lot of work, but we can go in and be into it with no bank qualification, and it will cash flow a moderate amount. We just picked up a couple of other rental properties on seller finance, and their cash flow isn't super great, but we're into them for like 10% down. There was no bank qualification. So there's a lot of different ways that you guys are going to be able to profit from the next 18 to 24 months or however long this may be. Who knows? Maybe it's only 4 months, right? Like, we just don't know what the future holds. All I know is if you can go through your expenses, you can trim the fat, cut what's not needed, and trust me, you can cut pretty deep. We're talking with some clients who are looking at selling their single family and downsizing into a lot smaller single family that has an accessory apartment. So they're going to lose a ton of space, but it's going to get them to where they want to be in 5 years, right? So as you're looking at it, go, okay, is this serving me? Is this getting me to where I want to be in 5 years? And the reality is most of the stuff that we subscribe to or do on Amazon or do this or do that, like, we probably don't need it. Okay. So with that being said, guys, like I said, I want to be sensitive to your drive times. I'm going to keep this under 12 minutes. So with that being said, you guys are awesome. Thanks for listening. Share this with someone who needs it. Share this with someone who's struggling to give them hope. And we can all get through this coming up. So cheers, guys. Love to hear you. Love to see you reach financial freedom. Thank you for joining me for another episode of The Financially Free Investor. If you found value in this episode or know someone who would find value in this information, please share with them, subscribe, and send us a review.